and welcome to Listening to Lancaster. I'm Diana Martin with Hourglass, and it's my pleasure to be joined today by Adriana Atencio, the co-executive director, and John Hursh, the Fling Board Chair of the Commonweal. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We're going to be chatting all things bikes, but before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors for these episodes, WAP Electric, Landis Communities, and Martin Insurance for their support of Hourglass. So let's jump right in. Adriana, I'll probably start with you. What's the Commonweal and how did it get started?
So the Commonweal is a nonprofit community center bike shop and co-op. We have two locations here in downtown Lancaster, one on King Street, which is our original location. It is in Reservoir Park in the old pump house, located right underneath the Blue Water Tower. And then our second location is on the 300 block of North Queen Street in one of the main shopping districts in downtown Lancaster. It was started in 2014 by Chris Caldwell and Brad Copeland. And we were really lucky to win the very first Great Social Enterprise pitch that was put on by Assets. And that really launched us into the community. And since then, we've been just really lucky to really kind of revitalize Lancaster as far as bicycles go and really have a pulse on downtown and getting more butts on bikes at the end of the day. But what's great about what we do is, we have a lot of programming, but we also have bicycle sales and service. Because, we're here to revolutionize people and places using the energy and equity of bicycles.
You mentioned your programming. What is some of the programming that you do? How can people see that work in the community?
Sure. So our flagship program is Earn a Bike, and that is for youth 11 to 21. And they come and they pick out one of the donated bikes that we have. We teach them how to overhaul it, how to maintain it, and how to ride it safely over the course of 4 weeks. And at the end of the course, they get the bike that they worked on. They get a helmet, they get a U-lock, and they get a light set. And what's great is they learn a ton of STEM skills by working on these bikes. And they also gain a ton of freedom. So, many of the kids that we see come through this program, they don't have a way to get to basketball practice or soccer practice. They don't have a way to get to their friend's house. And a lot of times their parents might be working 2 jobs. McCaskey, if you're within 1.5 miles of school, you have to walk to school. And that's a considerable walk. So bikes are a really great way to get from point A to point B quickly. And it also gives them a purpose. A kid walking around doesn't necessarily look like they have purpose, but if you're on a bicycle, you look like you're going someplace because you are going someplace, right? So it really gives them a sense of freedom. It gives them purpose, and it just opens up a whole new world. Plus, it's a really inexpensive option. It's not a car that's going to cost them gas money, that's going to cost them a lot to fix up. They are able to come in and, during our youth bike workshop, which is another program that we run on every Wednesday, they're able to buy used parts for $1, and we offer free guided repairs to keep their bikes safe. They're able to maintain their bikes inexpensively and still get from point A to point B, and also live a really nice and healthy lifestyle along the way. But that's just, 2 of the many programs that we have for youth. And then we also have programming for adults as well. We have affinity groups like Queers and Gears for the LGBTQ community. We have Safe Spaces, which is for the BIPOC community. And then we also have adult mechanics class, which teaches adults how to work on their bikes. And we serve these on a sliding scale fee because we want to be able to serve as many adults and folks as possible. Then we also have many rides. We also have our co-op, which allows us to be able to show people how to fix bikes. You're able to rent stand time and use all of our tools and get free guided repairs along with that. And then we also have our Marion Caldwell Spring Bike Fling, where we give bikes to elementary age kids in the school district of Lancaster and beyond in Lancaster County as well.
That's awesome. And I know we're going to talk about some more details about the spring fling so everyone can get involved with that. You mentioned that, one of the great things about bikes is it helps you save on all the costs of a car, of insurance and registration. And right now, gas is on everyone's mind, the rising gas prices. I'm curious, with all the attention to gas prices right now, have you seen renewed interest in bikes and the common wheel as people have been kind of feeling that stress at the pump?
Well, I mean, I would say just, since the pandemic hit, we have seen a renewed interest in bikes. And that's been really, really cool. So, there was a bicycle boom as soon as the pandemic hit. When people were told you have to stay inside, they were like, I don't think so. We are going outside. We are getting bicycles. We are getting out there and we are going to
hit the trails.
Yeah. And that's great. And even now, people are feeling that pain at the pump. And I'm not going to say that's a terrible thing, right? I'd love to see more butts on bikes and more people utilizing the bicycle as their primary form of transportation. There are just so many more benefits to it, right? It's great for your health. It's great for our streets. I mean, the one thing that I'd love to tell people is it takes over 70,000 trips by bike to create the impact that one car has on the road in 1 year. We all know that our Lancaster City streets are awful. You can't go, 3 blocks without hitting construction.
Or potholes.
So do we want to have better streets? Ride a bike. You should be thanking a cyclist anytime you see them instead of beeping at them to get out of the way. They're actually improving your streets, right? So, is it hard to say right now? Have we seen more people getting on bikes? The weather's getting warmer. So yes, we are seeing more people on bikes, just purely because of how things are going as far as seasonality goes. But we hope to see that this trend will continue and that people will start to adopt the bike as their primary form of transportation, because not only is it something that does affect the wallet, but it also affects your mental health in a really great way as well.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was going to add is I think that's the trouble, is parsing out whether it's seasonality. The recent spike in gas prices is kind of coinciding with increased temperatures. So I don't know if people are just getting out more because it's warmer, or, we'll have to see, but definitely.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned you have your community bike shop on Queen Street. That it's kind of an interesting model that more nonprofits are looking at, not just relying on donations to support their work, but actually having goods and services in the community. Can you just talk a little bit about how that works, how you sort of have that for-profit side that helps support your nonprofit efforts in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a fully functioning bike shop where we sell new bikes and refurbished bikes. You might be thinking, what are refurbished bikes? Well, refurbished bikes are bikes that we have had donated that our mechanics, our expert mechanics, have gone through and have fully, they've touched them. They have gone through every system to make sure they are fully functioning and are working again like new. And then we also sell used bikes, which are bikes that have not been touched. Those are project bikes. Like, you take them, you work on them. That's your baby. You do what you will with that. And the beautiful thing about having a fully functioning bike shop and, the ability to sell new bikes, refurbished bikes, and used bikes is that we are able to somewhat sustain ourselves. So, the money that we make by selling these bikes, by fixing bikes, et cetera, comes back and supports our programming. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that we don't need donors and that we don't need, sponsorships for our programs and everything, because programs like Youth Bike Workshop are, very costly. Like, we still have staff to pay. We have a $15 minimum wage, and that's not just for my adult staff. That's for my youth staff as well. My apprentices get paid $15 an hour because, Kids that are in high school still have to pay for college eventually.
Mhm.
College ain't cheap, right?
Yeah.
So we're very, very passionate about providing a good life for everybody involved in our organization. So while, we do have this model of what we make, with our shop coming back in, supporting our programming and everything, it is still very much so one of those things that we do still absolutely need donors, et cetera.
Mhm.
But it is nice to be able to have that model of some, self-sustainability as well. And, we very much so do not want to undercut any other bike shop in the area too.
Mhm.
So when you go to our Queen Street location and our King Street location too, like out of King Street, we do full service as well. However, at King Street, you will have youth apprentices working on your bike. So it's with the understanding that at Queen Street, you might have turnaround of 3 days on your bicycle. At King Street, you might have turnaround of a week on your bicycle because it's a learning experience.
Mhm.
It's going to take a little bit longer there. However, we are not here to undercut any other bike shop. Our prices for that professional service are going to reflect the other prices of other bike shops. We're not here to take away what they do. We do have other options though, because we are here to serve the community. If you are somebody who cannot afford a $55 safety tune-up on your bicycle, we have options for you. You can rent a stand at our co-op at King Street for $5 an hour and get free guided repairs. We will teach you how to work on your bike. It's the best deal in town. Plus, you learn a boatload of new skills that you can pass on to somebody else as well.
Mhm.
So there are always options. And that's what we exist to do, is create that space to educate and to be able to, uplift everyone.
Yeah. And I just wanted to add that this model of being a nonprofit bike shop does allow us to provide those different price points that do appeal to a broader set of consumers. And I think that's a really good thing. And I do like that. Yeah, like you said, we are in the business of teaching and empowering people.
So of course, bikes are super fun and they help us get from point A to point B and maybe even support our physical and mental health in the process. As people who care about the community, what are some other reasons we should be thinking about bikes? How do they contribute to maybe smart growth or other goals that we have as a community?
Yeah, so let me talk first about cars, because if we're going to be honest, here in Lancaster County, we do have some of these options. We have some bike infrastructure, we do have our RTA, but the default mode of transportation in Lancaster County is the automobile. That's just the way. I don't think many people would argue with me on that. Okay, so how much do cars cost us each year? AAA estimated in 2020 that one car that's driven about 15,000 miles in a year, which is about average, costs a household $9,500 a year. So that's almost 10 grand going to transportation. And while that does include depreciation, think about it. This is money that we are investing in an asset that is only going down in value. I mean, right now we are seeing some interesting things in the used car market, but for the most part, we understand that as cars get used, they go down in value. Okay. So we set this up this way, and think about it. Each household, the median household income in Lancaster County is $66,000. So that means for each car you have in a household, if they're being driven that average mileage, that is 15% of the average household's budget, or I should say median, I want to be specific. Median household budget is out the door. And what are we getting for that? Truthfully, when you think about it, at the end of the day, we're only getting transportation from point A to point B. We're not getting, this super high value, high return on investment kind of thing. It's all, money lost. And so now enter the bicycle. The bicycle is a much cheaper option for people. It's much more affordable. It's not, putting almost $10,000 out of your family's budget every year. So what I like to say to people is, we're not saying people should wholesale just get rid of their cars today. And, I am a car owner. I drive
Me too.
pretty much on a daily basis. Yeah.
Same.
So, but I think a better way to think about it is, okay, instead of making this wholesale change where you are going to be just getting rid of the car altogether. I mean, look at the weather outside. And there are ways to bike in the rain. Well, I should say that, but, okay, let's think about this. Are there trips that are under 2 miles or less that you can make by bike? I think about it, and I'm sure a lot of people live within 2 miles of their workplace or their grocery or drugstore or their house of worship. These are all trips that could be offset by a bicycle. And now think of it this way. I like to think of these things kind of incrementally. Let's say, your household and one partner is able to commute to work by bike because they live close enough and they have the means to do that. Okay, well, maybe now you only need one car instead of two. So now that household's budget just gained $10,000. I think that that's a great way to empower households here in Lancaster County, to give them more financial freedom to save and invest with that disposable income that's now suddenly realized by offsetting that with bicycle transportation. And again, we're not saying, people should consider a wholesale change. Maybe just think about what are those trips that could be done by bike. And then, we want to add in all of the other goals that the county has for health. You're going to be a little healthier if you're biking a little more. I think most people can kind of understand and agree with that. In addition to the fact that we have some of the worst air quality in the country here in Lancaster County, the less cars we have on the road, the more we're going to improve that. I think the bike really, I'm not out here to claim that it's a silver bullet solution of any kind, but it does contribute to a lot of these goals that we have outlined in some of our plans, like Places 2040, and things like that. So that's kind of the way I view the bike. Is it's like, I think it's an incredibly empowering tool, especially to those who don't have as much means, to people that, I just think of so many examples. If people are fresh out of prison and they're trying to get their life back together, for example, or, we have a lot of refugees that come to the area and figuring out a way to get them transportation. Or, we've had stories where we get bikes to people because they got a job and they're ready to go work, but they need transportation. Okay, we can get you that. So I just think the bike is incredibly empowering to so many people. And I just think we should be a little more thoughtful and just have a little more of an intelligent conversation about what bikes can actually do for our community.
How is Lancaster's bike infrastructure, and where are some areas for improvement to make this more feasible for everyone in our community?
Well, our bike infrastructure, I would say, is not necessary. It's in its infancy. Let's put it that way. Maybe it's getting into toddlerhood. We've got, I think we're at 13 miles of bicycle infrastructure, and that includes sharrows, which you'll see like the little bicycle person with those chevron things above it. Those
See
are
them
sharrows.
close to an intersection often.
Yeah. And then, we have parking protected bike lanes. We have your kind of traditional bike lanes that you see on College Avenue, which are my personal favorite. Those are nice and wide and lovely. And, the city has plans in place to put in more parking protected bike lanes for the eastbound connector on Lemon Street. Tonight, we're talking on Thursday, April 7th. There is a meeting for the Water Street Bike Boulevard. So there's lots of plans for more bicycle infrastructure to go in. And it's all kind of encompassed under this Vision Zero plan. So there's plans in place. Are they perfect? In my opinion, no. And, part of what I do as me personally, what I consider a private citizen bicycle advocate, is is look at these projects and say what I like about them and what I don't like, right? I love the fact that we are getting more bicycle infrastructure. I think there is a place for it. And, we always say, if you build it, they will come, right? So we are building this bicycle infrastructure for vulnerable road users who are interested but hesitant about getting on bicycles and riding on the road. A big reason why I don't bike more is because I have a 9-year-old and I am not personally comfortable with getting him on his bike. He's not a strong enough rider, first of all, and getting him on the road. I live a mile away from the school that he goes to, and I don't feel safe. And that's a big thing. That's a big thing. I want to feel safe having him on his bike and having him on the road, because I won't ride on the sidewalk. I won't have him ride on the sidewalk. It's unsafe for pedestrians. We don't want to put pedestrians at risk, right? So a lot of the reason why I do what I do is because I want other folks to feel safe too, right? But our bicycle infrastructure, we are fighting for it. It's taking time, but we're getting there. There are things like, for example, the Water Street parking protected bike lane. It needs a lot of improvement, but it's getting some improvements made to it. The city is definitely listening when us bicycle advocates say, hey, this is not working. And thankfully, they are making those improvements and they are listening to us. We do need folks, though. And I mean, when I say folks, I mean everyone, to really get together, though, and realize that this infrastructure is not going away. We need drivers to start respecting cyclists and saying thank you to cyclists. Like I said before, thank you for, protecting our roads. We have to have people realize that the extra 20 seconds that it might take for them to wait to go around somebody is going to protect that person's mental health and their life at the end of the day. And for people to realize that people are people, that when you're, riding around in a 2,000-pound vehicle, that the person that is on a bicycle is a person. There is a 4-foot rule. It's 4 feet minimum to pass someone. It's the minimum. You can go over the double yellow line. You can be respectful and give folks the time that they need and go around. It is safer for a cyclist to take the full lane than it is for them to ride directly next to parked cars where they can get doored and be potentially killed. So, a lot of the work that we do too here at the Commonweal is to try and bridge that gap between cyclists and drivers. We're looking into some grants to try and educate drivers some more and educate cyclists too on, bridging those gaps as well. Yes, we do have infrastructure. Yes, we do need more infrastructure. We can always use more infrastructure. In LA, when they build more highways, widen more highways, they just get more gridlock. But if we build more bike lanes, we will see more cyclists. We just need to get people into that mindset. We are really trying to make it so when people choose a bicycle, they choose it as their primary vehicle. They don't choose it as a stepping stone to getting a car. And the more that we can make it easier for folks to use that bicycle, to have networks that actually connect, the better off we're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I appreciate you touching on that, how sort of the broader community can be more of an advocate for cycling and cycling infrastructure. Adriana, I know we've joked about that nothing elicits a more passionate response on social media than the mention of a bike lane. So it's definitely something that people are passionate about, and I think people are trying to figure out how to be good advocates. What's a bike project happening locally that should be on everyone's radar that you really would love to see people get involved with or come out and support?
Well, definitely the Water Street Bike Boulevard. Everybody should be keeping an eye out for that. Now, the first public meeting is tonight, so if people haven't seen it on social media, they will find out about it after this podcast has aired, but it's just the first of many public meetings. They can keep an eye out for it on the city's website and Engage Lancaster, which the city also has. The city is really good about, having lots of public comment, et cetera. And then, there's lots of projects that are happening in the county as well. The goat path is going to eventually be a mixed use path for not only horse and buggies, but also for pedestrians and for cyclists. And that's going to be huge eventually. It's not just stuff that's happening in the city, but it's happening countywide as well. And, there's lots of different groups that folks can be involved in too. If they don't necessarily want to be involved at a committee level, they can at least join some meetings to find out what's going on. I serve on ATAC, which is the Active Transportation Advisory Committee on the county level. So when paving projects come up through PennDOT, we get to say, hey, we think there should be some signs that say share the road, or maybe we can put some sharrows here, or like there should be a pedestrian crossing here. Those meetings are open to the public. They can be found on the county's website. The Lancaster Bikes Coalition meets monthly. We try to advise, the mayor and the Department of Public Works on different projects. Those are open to the public, and we're always looking for new members and everything. And then, folks are always welcome to stop into the Commonweal if they ever have any questions about what's going on as far as bicycle advocacy goes. We are not an advocacy organization, but we do try to keep a pulse on what's going on. And we're always happy to connect people to different resources and everything. And right now, actually, there is legislation that is up in front of the PA, what am I trying to say?
The legislature. In
Harrisburg. Legislature in Harrisburg. Wow, there we go.
Assembly.
The General Assembly.
That took us.
It's been a day
That's
already,
why you're
right?
a team. You can fill in for each other.
Exactly. It's HB 140, and it's the parking protected bike lane bill. So while cities are putting in these parking protected bike lanes, they are technically not 100% legal under state law. And it's purely a technicality. Right now, under state law, cars have to park within 12 inches of the curb, right? So this is really just saying you have to park within 12 inches of the curb, or 12 inches of a parking protected bike lane, or 12 inches of a pedestrian plaza. It is simply a technicality. For the longest time, there was one senator who refused to vote on anything that was bicycle related. He is now out of there. So these these bills are coming back in front of the Senate and the House, and there is movement finally again. So, one way that we can help to get these so we can actually start enforcing when folks are parking in the buffer, for example, which is very dangerous for cyclists, or parking, in the bike lane, which let's not do that, folks. It's not good for anyone, is to, write to your reps and write to your state senators and say, hey, I support this. It's legit a technicality. Let's just get this through and get on to other things that are more worthy of our elected officials' time.
And I just want to add one thing too about the conversation about bike infrastructure. Your audience is definitely interested in making our community a better, a stronger, a more vibrant and prosperous place. And I think part of that is taking a problem-solving approach that works. And I think a problem-solving approach that I would love to see more people engage in is step one, we go and we humbly observe the environment around us and we see where people are struggling. And then step two, we say, what's the next smallest thing we can do to help these people? And then we say, step three, we go do that thing. And then we just repeat that process over and over again. And I think if we do it that way, I think that's something that if everyone is kind of bought into that idea, we're going to see a lot of really positive changes in our community. I mean, I'm talking small things that don't require huge environmental impact studies or, take years to get done. These are things that people can maybe look at and say, okay, you know what, that could be a very high return on investment undertaking. Roads, for example, are very expensive. It's a very costly undertaking, and there's a lot of studying and all that. I think if we just go and humbly observe where people are struggling, where are the places that are really unsafe for bikes or pedestrians? We're talking about bikes here today, but pedestrians, part of that too. Are there bike racks missing from places? I think, the more bike racks, the better. That encourages cycling activity. So, and these are all very small investments, but like, let's say you're a business and you put a bike rack out there. In the grand scheme, it's a pretty small investment. But hey, what if you get, 3 bike customers in? All right, to me, that's a very small but high return on investment thing that businesses around the county can do. Not to mention that employers looking to recruit. I think, if you prove that you're a bicycle friendly, I think bicycle friendly business, I think that's something that particularly appeals to young people and young professionals as well. So just thinking about the return on investment that you can get from small bicycle friendly investments, I'm kind of talking to the city here, but I'm also talking about private employers throughout the county. And cycling is not just a Lancaster City thing. You drive Route 23 and you see cyclists all the time. So, and that gets into some of the Plain and Mennonite communities as well. But like, there's cyclists everywhere. And I just think, if we take this small incremental problem solving approach, I think we can really see some beautiful things happen here in Lancaster County.
Absolutely. And, there's so many advantages from a business standpoint. As you said, there are databases that you can sign up to be a bicycle friendly business, platinum level below, that, folks and, millennials below can look at these databases and say, hey, I ride my bike all the time. This place has showers for me to go. And like when I ride my bike to work, I can shower there. I can leave my bike inside. I'd be happy to help people become a bicycle friendly business if they so wish. There are many studies that show that, if you provide bicycle infrastructure, cyclists actually spend more money over longer periods of time if you provide spaces for them to actually do that. There are so many advantages to supporting the cyclists in your community. And I mean, we'd be happy to talk to people all ding dong day about it. If you'd let us.
Absolutely.
We have a great
Let's have the
resource
conversation.
right here in our community.
Let's have the conversation.
Yeah. May is right around the corner and it is National Bike Month. So what are you guys doing to celebrate?
The question is, what aren't we doing? Well, first of all, we're going to be riding bikes because May is also one of the most beautiful months to ride bikes. But the biggest thing that we are doing during National Bike Month is our Marion Caldwell Spring Bike Fling. We are going to be giving around 250 elementary age kids in not only the school district of Lancaster, but Lancaster County as well, bicycles, helmets, and we're going to be doing a bicycle rodeo as well. But we're going to have a big festival in Reservoir Park celebrating all the unique and revolutionary things that you can do on bicycles. So we're very excited about that. That is May 15th from 1 until 5 p.m., excuse me. And we're just really excited to bring this fling to our home. It's the first time we're doing it in Reservoir Park. So that's going to be very exciting. We are going to be doing the Ride of Silence, which is an international ride. It actually is to honor those who have been killed while on their bicycle. So that will be happening May 18th. The county will be doing a Bike to Work Day. The date of that and time of that is TBD. Keep an eye out. And then, we'll have many other rides. We are going to be doing a First Friday celebration at our Queen Street location. Who knows? Most likely we'll have a pop-up park in one of the parking spaces outside. It's one of our favorite things to do. And then I wrote some other things down. Let's see. Yeah, but we're also looking for other organizations to help us celebrate bikes as well. So if anybody would like to host the Commonweal for, like a celebrity bartending night, or, if you have a specialty app or a drink or something that you'd like to donate some of your profit to the Commonweal during Bike Month, just to celebrate bikes and celebrate the work that we do in the community, we'd love to partner with you as well. So,
yeah, that's awesome. So if you're not following the Commonweal, definitely follow the Commonweal now so you can stay in the loop with all the awesome stuff happening for National Bike Month. And, you mentioned a few ways that people can support your work: donating, shopping at the community, at your community bike shop, donating bikes. Are there other things that you want people to know about how they can get involved?
You can always use volunteers as well. People are always welcome to join us for programming. They're always welcome to join us for rides. And hey, anytime you take a trip via bike, even if you get your bike serviced elsewhere, even if you're riding a $5,000 bike and you're a mammal, which is a middle-aged man in Lycra, you are supporting the Commonweal no matter what. The more butts on bikes, the better off we are as a community. Just, make it an inclusive thing, make it fun, and just keep riding. And that's what matters at the end of the day. Bikes are for anybody who wants to ride, and they really build an incredible community. I feel personally very privileged to get to work with the folks that I get to work with, and the people that I get to meet on a daily basis who love these bikes, who come in and talk about things that half the time I don't even understand, but the spirit and the joy that they get from these two very simple wheels on this very simple machine, it truly is a very revolutionary thing. And it's one of my favorite things to talk about. And, I feel very lucky to get to do what I do.
And continue to keep tabs again on the things, speaking back to that problem solving approach of like, how can we make our communities better for cyclists and for everybody, quite frankly, keep looking for those things and contact your representatives again, like, as individuals, as individual citizens of the municipalities here in the county. If you see a dangerous intersection, or you think, we could use a wedge turn, which is like you put out some kind of barriers and
armadillos.
Yeah. You make it more round for the bicycle to turn, because it's safer, and those kinds of things. Just keep tabs on those things. And again, these are very small investments that can improve our community. So just, be an advocate for those as well, I think, is a way that we can support cycling as a whole.
Well, I really appreciate you both joining me today and learning more about the Commonweal. For everyone who is listening, you can find more episodes of Listening to Lancaster on our website, hourglasslancaster.org, and our YouTube channel. And please check out the Commonweal, especially during National Bike Month, which is right around the corner. And thanks all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.